For the most, like, of course, there's things that are out of your control that you're just a product of, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're all born into this world, lucky or unlucky, your genetic makeup, what parents you were born to in their situation. There's people that are born wealthy. There's people that are born poor. There are people that don't even get the opportunity to be born. There's a lot of different things that go into that process, and it's all luck,
Yeah.
roll of the dice. But one thing that is critical for people to understand is that for the most part, there is a significant amount of your life that you do control.
Yeah.
And people never want to view themselves as the antagonist to their own story. But more often than not, at least in our experiences from what we've seen, and we were just talking about people basically self-destructing
Yeah.
and impacting how they have relationships with people, like on like a physical, emotional connection level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People don't want to be the antagonist to their own story, so because of that, they'll do so many things that are detrimental to their progression and being able to get the things that they want that they don't even they're just blinded by the fact that they're them, that they'll never look at themselves as being the problem and being the reason that they're in the situation that they're in. And to expound it on like a relationship level, people will never look at themselves as being the problem. They'll always look at someone else as being the problem, or an entire gender being the problem, or
Yeah.
something along those lines, but they'll never understand truly how important it is, and for them to understand the decisions that they make and how that's the reason why they're in the situations they're in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to jump in here, but I can keep going.
Yeah. I mean, that's feel like that's kind of like, yeah. A lot of people don't like to admit that. I think a lot of people like ego is such an interesting thing, like from a scientific standpoint. Because I'm very like science based. Like I always want to know like, but why? Like I want to know the reasoning, and I just really wonder where ego came from. Like if especially if the whole like theory about evolution and us evolving from like monkeys or whatever, like whatever like the theories are. Um, where did the concept of ego come from? Because I wonder if any other animals have ego. Like you know what I mean? Like I mean,
Hmm.
animals seem like they get embarrassed, right?
Yeah, they do.
So it's such an interesting phenomenon to me, ego, because I feel like that's really the root of everybody's demise. And like, and then just to not even admit it, like you could have ego, but then I feel like at least admit it. I feel like definitely my ego has gotten the best of me in many situations. But do I sit and admit it? Yes. Like I'll be like, okay, yeah. Like, am I feeling a way about this situation, and am I acting a certain way because I feel away, because I feel embarrassed, I feel hurt, I feel bruised, whatever. Yeah, like I'll admit it. I won't be like I won't just deny it. People literally will deny it. And like that's what I don't understand. Like at least admit it. At least be like, yeah, I'm messed up, I'm damaged, and that's why I act this way towards other people. Instead is oh everyone else is the problem. And like I just feel like that's just like not cool. Like just be the coolest thing you could do is to be real. I always that's my literally my favorite motto, like that I came up with. Like the realest thing you could do is be real. And people just can't ever be real with themselves about like the reason why it's always an excuse. It's
Yeah.
always somebody else's fault. It's never I didn't do this, so that's why I'm not successful. I didn't work hard in school. I partied all the time and didn't take it seriously. I skipped classes. I thought I had more time and I didn't. I was messing with men and distracting myself from schoolwork. Like no, it's oh that man held you back. No, you held yourself back. Because a man can never hold you back unless you want to be held back. Like there's never no personal accountability ever, and I feel like it's so lame.
Yeah. I would
Like
say that
anybody who does it.
I was never able to get to the point where I was at, where until I was able to shake the ego and not being able to admit that I'm wrong about things. Like, I could sit confidently in front of this camera, in front of God knows how many people will actually end up viewing this video. I'll sit in front of the world and tell everybody that most of my problems that I've encountered in life have been my own fault. And most people wouldn't ever be able to admit that. Like, no, I was extremely immature. I made a lot of bad decisions. I was a bad person. I did things that were to my own detriment. There were a lot of things that were to other people's detriment. Not a good person. And a lot of that had to do with ego and not being able to admit that I'm wrong, or not being able to make the correct decisions, even though I knew the decisions were wrong in the first place. I would be the first person to tell you that, like, I can think back to probably all of the things that I've gone through, and probably confidently I could say at least 90% of them were my fault. And being able to understand that and address that and change the things about myself that caused those situations to happen. If I wasn't able to do that, I would never be even sitting in front of this camera with you today.
Yeah.
And it takes a real human to be able to admit these things, realize these things. And once that happened, you're able to think and focus and understand what it is that you need to do to be successful in this life and not be your own enemy and hold yourself back from accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish. And nobody can seem to admit that they're wrong about things or that
Yeah.
there might be something that they did wrong that they could have done better. People don't want to apologize. Like
That's
apologizing
what,
is the craziest thing in the world
no,
to
literally,
people.
like my biggest thing I
And
always
sorry is not an apology.
yeah. And my biggest thing I always hold on to, like, as a big example of this, is literally like we're all humans. We all have conflict with friends. I've had conflict, obviously, with people. And, like, in most of my conversations, especially, like, the most major ones, there was never really accountability 100%. It was always an excuse. It was always, oh, this, oh, that. Like, it was never just, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Like, it's just, yeah, I was wrong here. I was wrong here. Like, I've done that. Like, I've said this on the podcast before, and I've said this to you. Like I've had situations I was like, yeah, I talked shit on Twitter. Yep, I did. I don't think that was right. And it was wrong. Yes, it was wrong. Like, you think that was okay? Like, no, I don't. Like, I'll be first to admit where I went wrong when those friendships fell apart. And, like, a part of me always wanted to have these closure conversations with different individuals in my life was just to get that realness. And, like, the fact that I feel like I never got any 100% realness from any person I've confronted is crazy. And it just says a lot more about them than me. And that's why those closure conversations is further confirmed for me why they're not in my life. Because I'm like, you guys, even in a potentially the last time you ever speak to me ever in your life, you still can't even just be real and be like, you know what, I was wrong. Because nobody's right, like, no one's 100% right in any situation. Like, any like relationship falling apart, any friendship falling apart, I feel like there's always something that somebody did on one side, at least one thing. In some places there isn't, right? But there's always at least something, some place that you went wrong where you could at least apologize and admit it. And I feel like I didn't get that from anybody who did me wrong or just wasn't supportive, wasn't a good friend in some areas. And just be real. And I just truly, like, maybe they're better people now. I don't know. I haven't talked to these people in so many years, but it doesn't matter. They still at all these points, they were still adults, still legal adults, still over the age of 20, 19, whatever. Like, it's just, it's just crazy to me that people that they can't be that. And, like, I'm trying to give grace because we're talking about ourselves and the maturity. At that age, we probably weren't the most mature either. So, you know what I mean? So I don't want to be a hypocrite.
I wasn't. I wasn't, but it also wasn't as bad as most people.
My recent conversation, we were all 21, 22.
Yeah.
One was pushing 23. So, like, no, at that point, no excuse. You lame.
But yeah, because, like, to tie back into the relationship conversation we were having earlier, like, people don't want to admit where they're wrong, so they don't want to admit where they're wrong in any aspects of their life. They don't want to admit why why don't you have the job that you want, right? Like, why don't you have the relationship that you want? Why don't you have the things that you want? What is the true reason for it?
The government's fault.
It's Joe Biden's fault.
Trump,
Men
Bush,
are trash.
Bush.
The economy.
Yeah.
What else do people blame?
And yeah, the economy definitely has an impact, but that's not like really the fault of a lot of people's problems.
Yeah, that's the thing. People, yes, all of these things do impact people's lives on a daily basis, but rarely are they the true reason why these things happen. Because remember, there's a world of people where all those things happen still. There is Biden, there is the economy, there is
the pandemic.
There are all these things that exist, but some people aren't impacted by that. And a lot of that has to do with the decisions that they make. Their relationships, it doesn't matter what the economy is doing. The economy could be trash. There were people that made it out 2008 financial crisis without feeling anything.
Yeah.
Like, so these things do happen. And yes, there are other outside factors that will impact your life, but people always want to look first to the outside factors versus looking internally.
Yeah. Like, when we talk about these things, like, this is clear. We're not talking about extreme examples, but, like, that are for sure, like, pure reasons. We're just talking about the everyday average person that we know are slackers, that we know just need excuses. They're lazy. They don't hold themselves accountable. So there's, like, we know a lot of these people in real life. Like, we've seen in real time,
right, and
how they operate.
And a lot of that, like, our experiences with people that we went to school with,
It's the easiest example.
Let's get super messy. So we went to school with, everybody wants to have the college experience of going partying, wilding out, catching 612 bodies, drinking every day, and skipping class and all that kind of thing. Like that, aside from maybe the major cities like New York, Chicago, like places with skyscrapers, that's like well, probably even with those too. Like New York college experience is a little different.
It's a little different, but it's still a college experience.
The overall college experience, like, yeah, that's what people kind of more or less expect or have understood from TV.
It should be a part of it.
Yeah.
Work hard, play hard. You can do both.
To a certain extent. But you can't do certain things in those moments and then complain about the outcomes later on. So if you were going to do those things and you also weren't studying and focusing on the things that you need to focus on to actually graduate and get the degree, then that's your fault.
Like, how many times did we on Snapchat, oh, I'm skipping class, I'm skipping class, skipping class, I'm skipping class. How many times you was going to skip class but I wasn't going to catch up to you to now to reflect the life that you live today?
Right. And
I've skipped class, and everybody have skipped class. But when do you get to that point when you're at school, like, okay, this is your life. Get up, go to class. Like, we've all skipped class. I don't think any person on this planet, well, there's probably some nerds that haven't. I don't think any person on this planet had never not skipped class at least once in their life in college. Slept, or even if you overslept, even if it was an accident. But how many people have we seen, it was like a joke to them? Just smoking all the time, drinking all the time, not going to class, sleeping in people's dorms, and you coming back from your classes and this person's in your dorm and they're just been there all day wasting away. I'm like, why are you in my dorm for 2 weeks straight? Did you go to class? And you know what I'm talking about. Nigga, get out, go to class.
What letter does the name start with? A, B, C, D?
Ding, 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 ding.
And I think that there's
ding, 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 ding.
There's
that's how frustrating that situation was. He was there. Like, nigga, get the out my dorm. I pay money for this place, and why are you not in class?
Yeah, so if you're not gonna go to class, like,
and look at how the life is set. Like, I unfollowed that person a long time ago when all the beef went down. I think they still follow us because they like to post of our engagement. Hey, there's no beef. It's been so long, but it's just, hey, it's just, that's his reality. Like, his life is probably not spectacular.
You're not going to show up to class. That's your fault. It doesn't matter what outside factors. Yes, there's penis and vagina running around the campus, but if you don't go to class, that's your own fault. Not anybody else's. You can't be distracted unless you want to be distracted. Anything could be going on. There could be a war going on. If you want to get your focus on something, you're going to be able to focus on something. And you're not going to graduate on time, so now you're going to pay even more money and stay in school even longer and pay more money and put yourself in further debt because you didn't want to focus, because you wanted to party. And now, like, that's where it starts to get. Now you don't have a degree. You're taking more time out of your time from working. So now you're losing money because you could have been working full time, but now you're still in school. And then not only that, you're running yourself into further debt. And that's how, like, the domino effect works. So it's like people are their own self detriment and they don't understand.
Shouldn't it be taking you 7 years to get a bachelor's degree?
It took somebody 7 years to get a bachelor's degree. What letter does it start with?
This is gonna take a minute. No.
Q.
I'm just saying, like, how you have a whole associate's degree and it still takes you 7 years to get a bachelor's. That's insane. It's embarrassing.
QRS.
I'm just saying. And these are the people I know personally who just were in the real time. I saw how they were treating school and treating education and treating all these things. Like, I was sitting here like,
yeah. So it's,
you're not care. This is your life. Now you gotta pay that money back. You realize you gotta pay this money back one day, right? You realize that.
Self-detriment. That's your own fault. Relationships. If you want to be letting homeboy run through you on campus and then you invite your boyfriend up the next day on the weekend, maybe your relationships aren't going to really work out because of you taking certain actions like that, right? Like, you're cheating on your boyfriend, getting ran through on campus, and then you're also inviting him up to the campus and everybody's looking at you crazy. Like, yeah, maybe your relationship isn't going to flourish because you're making decisions that it's your fault.
Wait, why did my brain just connect?
Like,
anyway, that's crazy.
It's your fault.
I just realized what you were talking about. We're messy. Anyway.
So maybe your relationship won't work out, and that's probably why you're single now, because, like, during the building and foundational years, you weren't fostering a relationship with somebody that might have been good.
Yeah, because that's something we didn't get to dig in deeper with that first topic. I feel like so many people who are in their late 20s, like with this crash out thing, like there's definitely that one that got away that I feel like everybody probably has. Like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have broke up with him for
Because
no
it
reason.
usually isn't worth it.
Yeah, like, oh, damn, like we had something good. I just broke up with him because I was young and wanted to have my fun. Like, and now I'm like, fuck, I didn't gain nothing from it except bodies, STDs, traumas,
STDs, not STIs.
whatever. Trauma. It's like, you know, you
College does
sit.
get crazy.
No, but it's like I feel like that's the thing. Like I'm sure so many people reflect on their fun years and they really like fun years and like really don't regret it and like okay, I had some good times. But there's definitely a lot of people who's like when you have nothing to show for it, like they might have had their good times, but are now in a happy marriage, happy family, whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's like when you're sitting in your late 20s and you have nothing to show for it, and that's when I think it hits. We're like, damn. I did
Yeah.
all that, got ran through, got degraded. People don't take me seriously. They probably still talk about me to this day.
Like we are.
Yeah. And now I'm sitting here and I got nothing to show for it. Like they're all in their happy marriages and happy families and they found their person to settle down. And I continue to run down that path. And now I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs and like, what's your greatest accomplishment in your romantic connections? It's none. Just getting ran through.
Right. And we're all for people getting ran through. But again,
If that's what you want.
If that's what you want.
If that's
we,
yeah.
we do not judge and I don't care.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not. This is not a judgment. This is literally judging specific group of people.
Yeah.
Who
we don't like people
who are literally just a detriment to themselves. That's all we're just saying.
Right.
Like
we don't like people
accountability.
that do one thing and then like say one thing and then do another. That's
Yeah.
who we're calling out. If you want to be ran through, we love people that are ran through.
Yeah.
They're great people. We love everybody that loves us basically.
Because I feel we've met people who live that life and
Yeah,
genuinely enjoy it, and I support them,
and we love them.
Yeah, like that's the people. I like people who are like themselves. And I like people who are real themselves. I like real people. That's all.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if you're poor. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what it is that you do. I love people that love me, and I will support everybody in what it is they do as long as it's not hurting somebody else.
Yeah.
But I will shit on people that have shit on me at some point, and I'll continue to shit on you until I die.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I saw a TikTok about that. It's like about beef being infinite.
no, beef is infinite. Because the thing is, I only continue to get better.
Yeah, so
and
it's
I only
just,
continue to like, so it just becomes more and more funny over the years. But I don't have any hostility. That's the funny part. It's like weird.
yeah, it's
like,
not like a daily thought about these people where I'm like
Yeah.
losing sleep. It's just funny, like
It
when
is
we
just
talk about these things. So when we had these podcasts, obviously we're talking
especially
about.
when those people at one point said something.
Yeah, that's the thing. These people have said something.
Yeah, I don't unprovoked just shit on people.
Yeah, literally everybody that we said something about on this podcast, and just in the last few minutes, have all said something shady, negative
They
about our
probably
relationship, about our careers.
probably should have got hands, feet, head,
They probably should have got.
head, shoulders, knees, and toes put all over them.
Yeah,
because of
they're
things
lucky
happened.
that we were chill. That we were chill people for real.
But yeah, you can't run through the campus and then turn around and get the relationship and foster it the way that you feel like it should be fostered. Like you're gonna make your life harder by not holding yourself accountable for the things that you do, as opposed to just thinking back, reflecting, trying to become a better person, and then move through life accordingly that way. You're gonna make yourself work so much harder because you can end up with the end goal that you're looking for at the end of the day, but you're gonna take so much longer to get there.
My mom's favorite, like her biggest quote that she always pushed on me, like me and my sisters, was like take like the path of most and least resistance. Like she always used to like get mad at us and sometimes say you guys are taking the path of most resistance. Like you're doing the things that are making you're making your life more complicated for no reason. Like work harder in school so you don't have to have loans or so you don't have to get rejected from colleges, save money so you can have money prepared for the future. Like, she always just tried to dig into our heads, like, don't take the path of most resistance. And I feel like a lot of people do that. And they continue just to make that path worse. Like,
Yeah.
that shit is like a zigzag maze
Yeah. If you
for
want,
no reason.
Yeah, literally for no reason. Like just it's simple.
Yeah.
If you're younger, you get a little bit of a pass, even though you still don't get a pass. But it's very simple, and it's just like you see so many different times where people will do a lot of dumb shit, and then you'll see some emotional post about something. Like I feel like,
And as always, they blame the higher power, like I said.
I'll probably remember what I was gonna say, but I'll tell you off camera because I think what I was about to say was way too specific, and I think we could probably see it. But yeah, like just do the things that like get out of your own way, and you'll be able to get where you're trying to go way faster.
Yeah.
Like nothing was better than like deleting a lot of my social media accounts because that was like a hindrance in my own mind. I know that there's people that can navigate it, but I can't personally navigate it. So remove yourself away from the things that are going to hinder
Yeah.
hinder your progression. And it's just been up, really, just do better and hold yourself accountable. And it sucks. Like it hurts to be able to say, you know, I messed this up. I could have had this. I could have done better. Like everybody should have those stories because nobody's perfect,
Yeah.
and it sucks. But the quicker you acknowledge that, the better you'll be able to proceed in the future
Yeah.
with anything.
Because there's other people who made probably dumb
Horrible,
decisions in their
worse
life
decisions
and
than
are
me.
able to turn it around. So that's what this is not even saying that you can't turn it around. We're just
Yeah.
saying it's like not, you know, now that people are approaching late 20s, late 30s, it's not necessarily too late, but you made your life so complicated and so hard at this point for no reason. That is like literally every day, in my opinion, is always now or never. And I feel like so many people are so set in their ways that it's more likely than not they're not going to change because like, your life is usually what it is already at a certain point. Like you've kind of made like people always want to talk about like, oh, it's just your 20s, it's just your 20s, relax, you're only 20, relax. Like that's the worst freaking advice ever because your 20s are literally such like the prime years of everything, your relationship, your body. Like this is like our last chances before like it's hard. It's gonna get harder to really build our foundations for our bodies for them to stay fit. You know, in the future, especially when kids come into picture, it's gonna be harder to do things and job. You know, work gets more busy. You climb the ranks. You have more responsibilities. These are your prime years for everything, like your body, your mind, your education. Because it's gonna get harder to do that. It's gonna get harder to study for like me. I'm trying to get my CPA exam, and I acknowledge that. Like I know I have to stop being lazy. It's like it's going to get harder to do these things, and like I just feel like people. I hate that mentality. Like you're only in your 20s, like relax. Like no, you should not relax. Like you shouldn't stress yourself out. You can still enjoy life. Like I've thoroughly enjoyed my 20s so far. Like thoroughly enjoyed.
It's been amazing.
And I've still accomplished every major goal, literally except the CPA. Like I've accomplished. I got my master's degree. I'm engaged. I live in a nice apartment. I've always wanted a nice walk-in closet, and I got that. Been to 10 countries with you, 11 on the way, 12 on the way. Could be going to Monaco too. Like it's just a lot, you know what I mean? And like we still went out there into a party next door concert on Friday. Went to the club that night. You went to a wedding last night. We could have went out again last night when you came home. Like we go out, we party, we still have this fun. So we are relaxed, but we also are working really hard and living the life that we have worked for.
And the thing is, I don't even know. I work. It's always weird for me to say I work hard because I don't want to say I don't work hard, but I think that because I put myself in certain positions, I don't have to work as hard as somebody that took the path of most resistance. So yeah, I'm getting the fruits of my labor, but my labor was a lot less intensive
Yeah.
than somebody else's would have been.
Yeah, because
Like,
our labor, we just like dug it out those 5 years
Right.
between the ages of 18 to 22. Like we just put that work in.
We graduated 6 years ago.
Has it been 6?
It's been 6 years.
Is it 7? No, 6.
No, 6. I graduated 6 years ago. I'm on my fourth job.
Is it 4?
It's fourth. Yeah. I had
Well, second
I was
company.
in sales. Yeah, second company,
fourth
fourth
position.
job. Yeah, fourth position that I've been in. And I am making 4 times what I made 6 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my exact. I'm making this. Is what I'm making now. Well, what's total comp? What's my bonus? I'm gonna give you the exact number of how much I've made since 2018.
Mine is I quadrupled my income in the past 6 years from when I graduated school. And
13%. Damn, 13% bonus.
I just every step I've taken has just been better, right? Like study, get a certification, like learn something, read, do something, work hard, work effectively, like study, like do these different things, and that's why I'm able to do this year after year after year after year. I just got a raise last Thursday. I'm gonna get another raise for 2025. It'll be presented to me in February, but I'm gonna get another raise on top of that in a couple months. So it's just like you just got to continue to do the things and get out of your own way and like strip your ego and admit that you're wrong in some avenues and say what you can do better and be critical of yourself when it's in all aspects of your life. You're not perfect. You're not the person that needs to fix the person in your relationship all the time. Like you're not the I do all this work and everybody else is trash at work. Like that's not how it works. You're not the main character.
Not everybody at work is their fault. Like they're out to get you, and that's why you're
Right.
not getting promotions, and that's why you're having issues. Like
You're not even like you're the protagonist in your own story, but you can also be the antagonist at the same time in your own story, and you just have to think above yourself. You're important to you, but you're not the most important thing
ever. Yeah.
ever, and you're not even also the most important thing even in your own life. Like you're a protagonist, like not the protagonist. Like there's other people that will be involved in your life that have influences. So like you should think of yourself. You should think more of yourself. That's the other thing. Like people don't even care about themselves.
They don't.
Like you should
Their actions don't
understand.
reflect how they
Like
feel.
people
about
don't work
themselves.
out. Like
Yeah.
people don't do a lot of things. People don't care about themselves.
Yeah,
Really.
because if you really did, your actions would reflect it. Like
They
I
would.
always say
That's really what
Yeah.
to highlight this whole segment into like
Yeah.
one sentence is really just that.
Yeah. And this is I'm gonna give my little quick testimony because you were there from day one, obviously, right? Like think about like my testimony real quick. Like we was in school 4 years. Like we worked really hard. I worked really hard. Like we've been there for the cries, the tireless nights, everything, right? Like, and unfortunately, at the very freaking end, I messed up. Like I could admit that, and I know like it's something that hurts me like all the time. Like I hate thinking about it, I hate talking about it. But like I literally couldn't walk out my graduation because of one class. Like I failed 2 classes my last fall semester. Like I became an AK that semester. There was a lot going on. I went on a trip I probably shouldn't have gone in the beginning of the semester during the prime time, right? Like that was a bad idea. As much as I loved going to Paris and Germany and that experience, I would cherish it forever. It did cause me to fall behind in the class, and like I just unfortunately failed the class. And spring semester, I was able to stack my workload, and I probably still could have been able to figure it out. I probably could have talked to an advisor or something for them to try to squeeze in one more class and make an exception for me and just have the craziest workload ever. But unfortunately, one class caused me not to graduate, right? Like, and you were there for that. We literally came to school together. Like, we met freshman year, and like I really wanted that moment for us, like to graduate together, like have our coming out picture. Like it sucks that that's something that we won't ever have when it should have happened, and it was one class, right? Like that, literally, you know how much it bothers me. I hate talking about it. So that summer, like I literally got the freaking class done in 2 weeks after graduation because there was a summer class that let me take it, and it was a short course. Like I had the class done by June 9th, which is crazy because graduation was like May 25th. Like that's so crazy they wouldn't let me walk, and I was done by June 9th. Like that shit is so fucking aggravating. But I know like I didn't get internships. Like my mom tried to get me to get internships. Like, and I think I worked hard, but I don't think I worked hard enough. I can admit that. So I didn't get internships in accounting. I had the failure, like, the late graduation, technically late, it was still 4 years. And then I got into grad school. Fortunately, that still worked out for me. And like that grad school year, literally I locked in. I was like, all right, get this master's. And then I got the master's. I got the job at Prudential, like my first major career in accounting. And ever since then, it's been up. And like I took that year and realized what I had to do. Like I took that accountability. And I locked in. I used my first job that I got with no real accounting experience. I had a little random accounts receivable job, barely made any money. But what did I do with that money? I saved up. I got my credit score up. I got 130 points in that one summer. Like I could post screenshots as proof that did happen because I paid off a credit card. And my score went up 130 points for some reason. Got my car with all that money from that thing, like brand new car. I had my last payment a month from today. I had my last payment, 6-year car note, and I did locked in. And now that job I got when I graduated in 2018, 6 years ago. Since then, I've made from that salary I made then to the salary I have today, $87,930. I make more than I made 6 years ago. That's OD. Like when I just did this math, I was shocked because I didn't realize it was that much. It was so gradual. $87,930. Without saying what I make, that's how much more I make.
Yeah, I think mine was the same. Mine's like 90,000. I think
that's insane.
So
and what it took was literally that reality check of not being able to walk in graduation. And I was like, "What are you doing? You have this accounting degree. You're in grad school. Just get it done. It sucks you couldn't walk in graduation. It's not the end of the world. And luckily, I had my graduation a year later. I got to be 22. Luckily, it was 2019. Could you imagine if it was somehow 2020? If I had a 2-year grad school, I would have been devastated. Like I'm thankful I had my graduation in 2019. I got to have my college graduation experience. And yeah, I'm here today because ever since then I locked in. I could admit that I didn't try hard enough in college at all. Could have went way harder. Could have went way harder in high school. You see the Olympics on. I'm still saying that's something I regret. Is I could have went way harder in track. I should have did it earlier. I'm not saying I would have been an Olympian, but maybe I could have not had student loan debt. Like it's like like I know somebody who I went to high school with who has no student loan debt. Like he went to school full ride, and we was in that same school, same opportunity, and he worked harder. He wanted it, and like I didn't. And just like it's those type of things. Like I'm not sitting here thinking I would have been an Olympian, but I could admit, damn, maybe we would have worked harder. You could at least maybe had less student loan debt, and you could have went to school for maybe a discounted price or a partial scholarship. You know what I mean? So, you just had to make that admit these things to yourself. And it takes a real person to do that. And I feel like people they need that reality check. Like, or your life is just going to continue to be what it is, and you're going to blame the government. It's going to be Biden's fault. If Kamala gets elected, it's going to be her fault. It's going to be Trump's fault if he's reelected. It's going to be everybody's fault until you're 80, wilting away with nothing to show for your life. And it's still going to be somebody's fault at that point. You're going to tell your grandkids it's somebody else's fault why their life sucks because you didn't do nothing for them. It's always going to be somebody's fault. Even people who blame their parents. Like, my parents weren't perfect people, but what am I going to do? I'm going to grow from the experience that they, not everybody had a perfect childhood, right? Like, people have stuff. I feel like so many people hold on to stuff their parents did instead of just evolving. Like, it's time to move on. What they did sucks, but are you going to continue to keep living in that? Like, in your traumas and your childhood traumas, like, are you going to continue living in that, or are you going to make your life better? Or are you going to just keep blaming your parents? Mm-hmm. Like, it's just, people just need to wake up. Yeah.